Can you imagine our capital being the most violent city? But it was really bad, into a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone city. There's no crime. They said crime's down 87%. I said, no. It's more than 87%. Virtually nothing. And much lesser things that take place in the home they call crime. You know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this was a crime, see?
There you have the President of the United States, Donald Trump, downplaying domestic violence and abuse as a little fight with the wife, as he touted his supposed crime-fighting policies in Washington, D.C. Not surprising from a man who actually has been accused by multiple women, including an ex-wife, of being abusive. In fact, in 1990, during Donald Trump's divorce with his wife, Ivana. This is in her divorce deposition. She stated that Trump once pushed her to the floor and pulled out handfuls of her hair. Ivana eventually described what followed as rape, but later walked back on the claim. Here's what she stated back in 1993. On one occasion during 1989, Mr. Trump and I had marital relations in which he behaved very differently towards me than he had during our marriage. As a woman, I felt violated. I referred to this as a rape, but I do not want my words to be interpreted in a literal or criminal sense. Now let's fast forward to 2018, where Trump weighed in on domestic violence yet again. In this case, he was commenting on his then staff secretary, Rob Porter, who resigned after he was accused of physical and emotional abuse by not one, but two of his ex-wives. Trump wrote on Twitter at the time, "Is there no such thing any longer as due process?" Oh, interesting, Trump suddenly cared about due process, something that he will not afford random people on a boat in international waters, something he won't afford undocumented immigrants who are seeking asylum in this country, who are entitled to due process, but nonetheless, let me continue.
Some documented immigrants.
And documented immigrants, exactly. People's lives are being shattered and destroyed by a mere allegation. Some are true and some are false. Some are old and some are new. There is no recovery for someone falsely accused. Life and career are gone. Now the White House is trying to clear up what Trump said in regard to, domestic abuse being nothing more than just a little fight with the wife. A White House spokeswoman said in a statement that the president wasn't talking about or downplaying domestic violence.
Yes, he was.
Well, what else would he be referring to when he refers to just a little fight with the wife, as he's trying to, tout his, crime numbers? And by the way, despite everything he has to say about the way he tackles crime, new polling indicates that he's underwater on issues like crime and immigration, which we'll get to in just a minute.
Yeah, saying that people are prosecuting guys for a little fight with the wife is saying that you're in favor of domestic abuse.
Or that there shouldn't be consequences, criminal consequences.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, if there's no criminal consequences for murder, rape, robbery, but there's gonna be more murder, rape, robbery. And so he's saying, what, so you batter your wife, you slap her around a little bit. Oh, now that's criminal? Yeah, it's criminal. Wake up. I mean, I know he's like 280 years old. Like Biden was, like all of our stupid politicians are. Oh, we love the corrupt old timers, right? Anyways, so, and he has a history of hitting his wife, and now she could recant it to get money all she wants. We all know what happened. So it doesn't matter. Look, guys, there's no one defending Trump here other than extreme right. Extreme right's like, yeah, that's right, man. You beat your wife a little bit, and now that's criminal. Maybe you smash her head against the wall. Now that's criminal. That used to be the man controlling the house. Yeah. But other than those idiot Neanderthals, who's in favor of spousal abuse? Who's in favor of beating your wife? I mean, I know Democrats aren't. That's not even close, right? You can have a lot of complaints about Democrats, but they're not in favor of beating their wives, okay?
They won't
I'm
publicly
saying voters.
say the kind. Oh yeah, okay.
Voters,
sure.
not politicians.
But in terms of the politicians, none of them are dumb enough to come out and publicly say the idiotic things that Trump is willing to say. Let's just keep it real.
Look, politicians are scum across the board, so like no regular rules of humanity apply to them. So I wouldn't be surprised if half of them weren't doing that. I'm talking about the voters. Democratic voters have no interest in any piece of crap who hits his wife or husband or anything else, okay? okay? Independents have no interest. I think, and let's see if I'm right or wrong, but I think a big percentage of Republican voters also don't have an interest in a wife beater, okay? A big percentage. But maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Are they gonna back him up? Oh, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? If you're in that camp, you're a piece of crap. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
It's such an unforced error as well, right? Because he's just trying to focus on how great he is in terms of, tackling the crime issue in Washington, D.C. And so he just can't help himself. He has to throw in the minimization of domestic abuse. Okay, but despite all of that, despite what he has done in deploying the National Guard in Washington, D.C., based on this, in my opinion, false pretense of him wanting to fight crime, most Americans are not happy with his performance, and that's across the board, including on the issue of crime. So voters don't appear to be buying what Trump is selling. Take a quick look.
These are all the key issues. Donald Trump is underwater on all of them. Trade, obviously, tariffs have been a big thing at the bottom of your list, minus 17 points. The economy, which was the reason he was elected to his second term to fix the economy, way underwater at minus 14 points. Foreign policy, minus 12. And then I think, Mr. John Berman, the key two issues at the top, because these have been Donald Trump's strongest issues, crime and immigration. But get this. He is now underwater on both of these issues, if barely, but he's underwater on crime at -2, immigration at -3.
And remember, the main reasons why Donald Trump won the popular vote is because voters, unfortunately, in the lead up to the election, trusted him more on the economy, which isn't doing so well. The jobs numbers are pretty disastrous. Crime, immigration. And so even though he's just slightly underwater on crime and immigration, I believe this is just the beginning because he wasn't underwater before. But the way that he is tackling these issues is really leaving a sour taste in people's mouths because it's leading to chaos in various cities, various states that have to deal with the deployment of federal troops, have to spend their resources toward the chaos that ensues as a result of what Trump is doing for shock and awe. This is not the right way to handle crime, which is a serious problem in some parts of the country. But sending in National Guard troops who are not legally allowed to engage in local law enforcement duties makes no sense.
I hate scams, especially the ones that target seniors, and Medicare's chock full of them. Between commission-hungry brokers and thousands of confusing plan options, most seniors aren't on the best plan for them. That's why I partner with Chapter. They're fully independent and they work for you, not the insurance companies. That's really important. They can review all your options in under 20 minutes, and the average senior they help saves over $1,100 a year. And the best part of it is, it doesn't cost you a thing. So if you're turning 65, call the number on the screen to connect with a Chapter advisor today.
DC's different, right? He has more jurisdiction over Washington, D.C., but that is not the case when it comes to cities like Chicago or Los Angeles, which is why you likely have come across videos of National Guard troops literally picking up trash, being bored, they don't know what to do. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's his own worst enemy. That's why he's underwater in crime and immigration. Let me tell you what he could have done to stay actually very popular on those issues. Number one, on crime, he could have said, I'm tackling crime and I'm gonna bring in FBI, DEA, and all these other agencies to help bring down crime in these cities.
And I'm going to collaborate with city leaders, right? I'm gonna do this in a collaborative way because I'm serious about tackling crime. That would make voters across the board respect him because that's the sign of a leader, someone who actually sees a problem and wants to find solutions in a smart, collaborative way.
And the FBI, DEA, and other federal agencies work with local law enforcement and are invited in all the time. The military is not. But so what he does is, okay, I've got this issue on crime. I'm winning on it. I feel good about it. Oh, well, how can I screw this up? Because I'm an idiot. Oh, I got an idea. Why don't I start bringing in troops into the middle of American cities and make it seem like we're a third world country under martial law? And then people get really nervous and then hate me. Why? You had the win. Why not take the win, right? And then on top of that, we'll talk about how maybe you get in a little fight with your wife. What's the big deal? That's a crime? Yeah, now you seem like you're pro-crime. You're so dumb. All you had to do was stick with, there's crime in the cities, they're not addressing it enough, I'm gonna fix it. That was a winning strategy. but you couldn't help yourself because you're a serial bungler. On immigration, huge win for him. Closed the border, taking out undocumented immigrants who were criminals. Sky high popularity. We showed you the polling. That worked, right? But here comes serial bungler. He's got to bungle it away. So he's like, all right, let's get people in mass, no badges. We snatch up the people, including little grandmas and kids off the street. We throw them into a van. So you look like thugs and terrorists. So you look like weirdos. So now women are afraid to go out in the street. And now there's guys imitating ICE with mask and no badge and throwing women into vans and raping them. And then you got people worried to death about folks who they've lived with for 10, 20 years. And you look like a Gestapo pig. Why did you do that? I mean, forget me, if you're a Republican, you should be 10 times angry at Trump. He had it. And instead, because he can't help himself, because he wants to be authoritarian so badly, he's like, the president can do whatever he wants. That's not our system of government, you moron. So he bungles, and now he's underwater on everything. Good. I hope he goes 40 points underwater. He's such a liar. Where's the Epstein files? Where's you standing up for America first, getting walked around the park by every foreign government, right? One in particular. And now on crime, immigration, unpopular. Economy, tariffs that was supposed to be a strong suit, way underwater. Go ahead, keep bungling, moron.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.